Hi everyone, my name is Vanessa Valiuco and welcome to Personal Pans, conversations about belief, transformation, and all the weird and wonderful things that we experience. Tonight's episode features Bex Atwood. She's a mycological researcher, a liminal investigator, a botanist, and also one-third of Liminal Earth. Rewatching this conversation as I was editing the episode made me realize that I should probably retitle the name of my show to Ex-Evangelicals and ADHD, because I feel like one or both of those things come up every single episode. We had a incredible conversation about growing up Christian and also exploring fairy houses and mycelial networks. She kind of blew my mind teaching me about how mushrooms operate in the forest and really everywhere. And I really enjoyed this conversation, and I hope you do as well.
So I have a fun thing that's happened today I wanted to talk about. So Katie Webb and I, our good buddy, we've been doing like almost every weekend if we can. We just do like a little impromptu like Estes method session together over Zoom, and we record it just in case. And we like find like funny patterns. So like we'll wear all blue and only have our blue ring light on, and like I have blue tea. We'll pick like a theme, and tonight our theme has kind of been picked for us. I woke up craving like sugar, just like I got Laffy Taffy, I got Airheads, I got like all the old suckers from childhood, and I'm just snacking on them all day. And then I am taking Ranger to the potty on the way home from the store, and I find this pile of ragwort, and it's like toxic to people, but it's really good to introduce into your yard for like biodiversity, and it helps a lot of insects. But guess what? I literally did this on Plant Snap, by the way. Plant Snap apparently now has a correspondences or like a special folklore meaning. Guess what it said? It said gifts for the fae. And so I've literally been like craving sugar all day, and like this was not planned. We were just kind of like, let's see what comes to us for the theme tonight. And then it's about to be Beltane, and so they're already coming out, and I'm just like, of course. I'm so excited.
I love it.
Yeah, and then Katie was like collecting graveyard dirt and had like a really fun experience. That's her story to tell, but like she's having them too, and so we're just riding the wave, and it's gonna be so weird, and we're gonna do that at 8 tonight. But it's just a Zoom, but I think we'll be releasing it later.
Okay, cool.
If anything happens.
Of course, yes. I hope it does. I feel like it's got to at this point, right?
I even like set up a little fairy village in my garden in case I need to do the pebble sidewalk still, but it's like I did that, and I got some petunias for all of our WUFO aerial entity friends that are called galaxy petunias, and they're like a dark purple with white speckles. And so I'm like, okay, here's a little alien area, and then here's like a little fae area. So I hope that like buttered them up a little bit. But we always do offering plates too.
Of course, I love this.
Excuse me.
I extra love this because I've also been craving donuts lately, because there are the Whole Foods actually carries these like, they're Bismarcks, but it's like chocolate glaze and hazelnut filling inside. Oh, it's incredible. Right. It's thank you. Right. Like, again, I have a hard time with Nutella now because all the palm oil stuff, but like the taste of any hazelnut anything is just, it is divine. And as I was walking to get them today, there was a little shop that had like a little fairy door that was just like stuck it on the shop near the entrance, and that they must have done this recently, because like that's my usual walking path, and I was like, oh good. Make a home. Yeah.
I actually went to a new donut place the other day, and it's Korean donuts, and they use rice flour. And I got an ube donut, and it was purple. It was the prettiest donut, and it tasted like, I don't know. It didn't taste like chocolate. I had Andrew take a bite, and he was like, it just tastes like my chocolate one. And I'm like, I don't think so. I think that's different. It tastes like purple.
Yeah, exactly.
But during that, I wore my WUFO shirt, and the lady was like, I like your shirt. And I was like, well, funny enough, I actually made this.
I love
the whole thing. And she wrote down WUFO.watch. She's like, I can't wait to check this out because I want to find things to do that are, safe to do. And I was like, hell yeah. So I got a donut and I got to talk about WUFO. It was great. And everyone heard me because I'm loud at the end.
It's a perfect day though, right? Especially when you can like A, get sweets, but B, like share your weirdness with other people in a way that they like are receptive to and excited about and like eager to join in. It's like, oh, I found someone on my wavelength. I just wanted donuts, but I got so much more out of this. Like, that's pretty awesome.
Yes. And it was all triggered by like, Andrew and I went and like got sushi or something. And as we were leaving, there was this couple that parked next to us, and I was waiting for him to close his door so I could then go in and open mine. Yeah. And he had a box, and I was like, "Where did you go?" He's like, "Oh, go check it out. It's a little expensive." And I'm like, I don't think he's ever been to Seattle because they were like they were better than the prices. But yeah. Anyways, called Milk View, MILKVUE. Anyone who's in Gig Harbor, Washington, check them out. Oh my gosh, so good. They use rice flour. It tastes better than a regular donut. Oh,
I'm like
proud
ready
WUFO
supporters. Love it. I'm ready to fly out there right now.
Apologies if I'm mistaken here. Garrett and I had a conversation. Were you in Bremerton sometime this year? Okay.
I was in Bremerton in May of last year. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, with my cousin. Yeah.
Yes. And we were talking about the next time that you come. Like, we have all of these things.
I love it. I cannot wait.
I live about 40 minutes. It feels south because I'm going to like the bottom of a peninsula, but it's actually
I know comparative to the state. Yeah.
Yes. It's east. But I live so close, and so it would be so easy, and
so great.
Yeah, just a matter of time, and you can have an uvei donut yourself.
Oh my god, I know. I have relatives out in Bonnie Lake and in Yelm, and so my cousin in Bonnie Lake was like, "All right, we're gonna go to Bremerton." We went to Polsbo, so of course, when I saw Polsbo posts. We got tiaras in Polsbo, so it always has like a very good like a happy feeling for me. Like, we went to Polsbo, got tiaras, and then went to the Chihuly Museum and saw cool glass, and it was just like, oh, I like everything up here, especially Mount Rainier. Like that's probably my favorite mountain.
Yes, it's mine too. I think it tops Shasta for me. I gotta be controversial.
Okay, right? Like, cancelable takes, I know, but I'm with you there because I feel the same way.
I love the veticular clouds. Have you noticed the bubble clouds over? It's so creepy, and I love it. And it has like this super awesome Salish meaning. Oh, so cool.
Agreed. Yes. Agreed. Yes. Like, I love it. Where my aunt lives in Yelm, like, you go up the road and it's just like this one road just has a direct see Rainier, and like all the trees around it. It's like, this is a sacred place. This is beautiful. Yeah.
That road, I know exactly where that is too. That's so funny because Yelm is kind of like the gateway to Rainier. It's like one of your last stops, unless you want to go. Have you been to the Pizza Train?
No, I haven't.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Next time you go to Rainier, that one road that you take. There is if you are heading towards Rainier, there's a little burger place, like literally a shop on your left. On your right, there is a series of train cars, and some of them are rooms that you can rent out for the night, which is so cool. But then there's also a pizza place, and the guy's from New York, and he's super sarcastic and cute, and so you can have some banter as you're like ordering a slice. It's in a train. So cool.
This sounds I'm just writing all this down because again, I will forget it.
There's a Russian restaurant if you keep going a little further. It's so good.
God, I love this. The next time I visit, I'm gonna be telling my relatives, like, guess what? We have to go here, and here.
Please do. It's so great. We've had so many relatives come out since we moved here that I've just kind of done the tour at this point. We'll go here and then here and then here. So
Well, and especially when you know where all the cool and beautiful things are and you just want to share that with everyone, like that. I went on a hike with one of my cousins, and like she showed me this awesome little hike, and there was like a small little waterfall at the end of it. And it was just so beautiful. It was just so beautiful. And seeing all the birds in the forest, like to be connected with that. Because I grew up in the suburbs. No nature, anything. Like animals was when I had a field trip to the zoo. That was my experience, so to like be out in it, and again like near that mountain, it's like, oh, this is a special place here. This is good. There's magic here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, there is. And I love that. How do I say this? I have a lot of suburban friends. So I grew up where we had like a little 6-acre farm outside of town. But my high school was one of those like in the cornfield high schools. And so I actually lived closer than most of the folks.
Oh, sure.
But there was like major suburbia happening within like the greater part of the town.
Gotcha.
And so, yeah, I grew up in the farm and did the whole thing, but all my friends for the most part were suburban. We didn't have any younger neighbors. And so just knowing who they are now, a lot of them don't really feel that magic. So it's so cool to hear someone grow up suburban, like that you still have that sense, because I've seen it die in people and it's really depressing.
That is brutal to me, especially like living out there, to not just be filled with a sense of wonder about that place. Like even so, like we got to the end of the waterfall and we were walking back, and there was a oh God, one of those, it's like I can't even remember the name of it, but it's a Stellar's jay, right? That goth kind of blue jay, right? And it was just up in this tree. Yeah. And it was just kind of like looking down, and I decided I wanted to make friends with birds on this trip. So I brought pumpkin seeds with me, and I just like lifted a bunch of pumpkin seeds, and I was like, here is my offering to the forest, and it didn't even like wait. It just kind of flew down and started eating while we were like maybe 5 feet away. And so we as we're turning and we're leaving, all of a sudden this giant raven just like swoops down and like lands on the path and then flies away. And I was like, oh, the forest accepted my offering.
Sure did.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Of all the places to leave one, they are extra thankful around here. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
They get it.
Exactly.
Oh,
and I love that too. And again, I think it's like that, talking about like, and I always point over here because my plants are over here. One of these days I'll just take a photo so people actually know like the plant collection that I'm constantly gesturing at. Yeah. But it's that like evolving over time and being open to things, and part of it was the pandemic and needing to tend to something, right? I think it is that like having hope, right? Like, okay, this is all really overwhelming right now, but here's a little plant and I can water it and I can keep it alive. And that's something, and then as like I was able to keep more and more plants alive, I was like, well, let me see what other cool plants I can buy. And then of course all my friends were into plants, so we're all giving each other cuttings and things like that. But like I said, this is a newish development. Being open to things. It's always sad when I hear that people have like shut themselves off, because again, I'm 39 and I'm still learning new things and exploring new things and like finding new aspects of myself that are really very exciting. Like, oh yeah, it turns out I'm a plant person and I love it, and these are my babies. And yeah, if a piece breaks off, I just get a new plant then, because I can just put it in water and propagate it. Like that's a fun kind of magic there. Yeah.
It's so great too that you have this like little plant community where you can trade cuttings, because sometimes I think one of the biggest issues of having those types of plants is that you have too many and you're like, I don't want to waste these babies, but I also don't have enough pots. Like, what am I going to do? I just got solo cups around my house,
Literally that, because I have this, again, I'm gesturing, I have this spider plant that just is like,
that's what I was thinking in my head. It's just like 50.
That's it, because it's like as soon as it's like it's flowering, I'm like, oh no, I'm gonna get more little babies, and then it's like when it's like tiny, I'm like, I'll just leave it, and then eventually like a bigger piece grows. I'm just like, well, fuck, I'm gonna have to cut you off and plant you now because you're a legitimate plant. Fine.
I just had the coolest idea. So
Yeah.
it's like my dream to have a haunted botanical garden. That's what I'm like my millions on one day, of course. And I think it would be hilarious to have like the spider plant baby graveyard where people can go just leave their babies. And it just takes over. Just
I love this so much. I love this so much.
Take them, please.
Take them. Take them, please. I cannot tell you how much I love this because it's true. Just take them. But you have to, because I know it's alive, so I have to raise it. But if you take it, now you have to raise it.
Yes, exactly. Like the best case scenario of that situation would be that like it gets really viral, right? And so everyone's coming, then we run out. Okay, cool. Like our purpose.
Close up shop. Exactly.
The babies have been saved.
Exactly. I know. Like, see in a couple years when I have another 100 that I don't know what to do with. But for now, bye, friends.
Perfect. That is like such a sound business model.
I think so. Listen, you're in the Pacific Northwest, right? Things just run a little differently out there.
Yeah.
And I kind of love that, right?
It's hilarious because I was actually having this conversation with Andrew. We were driving and the person in front of us had like this Bigfoot sticker on their car with like a peace sign. And we think it's so funny because it's even leaked into like the normie world. And not only that, but it's like the unofficial Washington mascot. And so for people who come here, the souvenir shop right on the pier in Seattle has all these Bigfoot things. And it's like, it's this thing now. And so I love that I live in a place where I can just be doing my chores and Bigfoot shows up. It's amazing.
Of course. I mean, that's incredible, right? Like, and again, like you said, like this crossover, it's like, I love it because you're just adding magic to a space, right? You're adding fun into a space. It's just this like play and exploration that we're so alienated from in so many aspects of our lives. So I love this. And I also noticed that, and I loved it when I was out there too. I was like, more Bigfoot on everything, please.
Yes. I saw someone, I think it was on TikTok of all places.
Sure.
But they were like, is Bigfoot right wing now? And I was like, over my dead body.
Thank you. Exactly. Thank you. Yes. I think I saw something on Twitter about that today. And I just refuse to let bigoted people take cool things. Yes, right. It's
over
like
my dead body.
Thank you. Thank you. Exactly. It's bad enough that they have like really run to get runes away from people. And like, no. You gotta draw a hard line in the sand. And you have to figure out ways to reclaim these things and reclaim them in healthy ways. And then change the meaning so that they don't take it. Like that bothers me. It's like, well, they're using it now. We can't use it. I was like, oh no, I'm going to, and I'm going to be anti-racist and a trans ally, and they can't take that away from me either.
We got some pretty tough people on our side.
I think so.
Yeah, that's so funny. Of my dead body. End of it.
Yeah.
But like, there's such a thing as remythologizing.
Yeah.
Just reinvent it, rebrand, baby.
Exactly. Because it's like, I get it, they're loud and they're organized, but they're also terrible. So let's not let terrible people take cool things. Yeah.
And they're like, no worries.
Exactly.
Oh my goodness. Oh, I did have a note here. Pet insurance is not for you. Such a good idea though.
It is.
That I didn't have it before.
Because it's something you just don't think about until suddenly there's a major surgery and you're like, oh, that's why people do this.
And now Ranger has like a rap sheet. So if he were to swallow another foreign body, even if I did have insurance, he has a history. So now it's a pre-existing condition that he has. Swallowing things.
Oh,
he literally has a compulsion that insurance won't cover.
I don't like it.
I don't like it. So I'm like, ugh. And then my other dog's too old to have it. And so I'm like, okay, I guess we'll just insure my cat.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
No, we'll still get basic for him. But the note that I had for you
Yes.
was the theatrics of the church I grew up in, and how music has a really big effect on people.
Yes.
And how I was the bassist in my praise band for like 6 years.
Yeah.
And I've since losing my faith and denouncing, I have since returned, and I found myself still like feeling that magic and that power. But I had a new context for it. And it wasn't, oh, this is like God moving through. It's like, no, music is fucking magic. And that's what it is. And I love that we would be listening to like this praise and worship music. And all I had to do was change the context. And it was just still such a powerful experience. And so I think about that all the time, between like the theatrics and like reading a crowd, reading each other, and how that you can carry that into like paranormal stuff. I also think that music is just, there's something about it that I felt my entire life, and it's just, oh, and you can feel it no matter what the context is.
Of course, exactly. I love that you brought this up. This reminds me of when I was talking with Jason, and he was talking about, you know, the feelings that he had with prayer, and how as he moved on to doing magic and exploring paganism, that he felt that also, right? And so there, and I do believe there is something very fundamental to music and the human experience, and that like energetic experience of playing music with other people, singing, you know, all of that, again, working together in harmony. You can feel it physically when you play music with people and you're in a groove and you're working together and you are making a song happen. That is a special kind of magic. And it gets contextualized as like, well, this is because of Jesus or whatever you want to put it in. It's like, no, it is so much bigger than whatever boxes and labels you're trying to put around this. Like, there is something so fundamental, and that you can't even put words on it. It is that fundamental to like the human experience of creating, of resonating, of having that magic in your life. So I'm glad that you have retained this, because I think it's really hard when you leave, right? You leave this belief system, and again, it can be really hard to parse out, like, okay, what is mine still out of all of this? And can I still touch some of these things? Because so much of that gets clouded with whatever negative experiences you have in the church or whatever organization. And so to return to it, and when it feels like home, you're like, yes, it's mine. They can't take it away from me.
One of the best
on my terms. Yes, exactly.
I love it too, because in the midst of like all of the Hillsong scandal, they still made some of the most powerful music. There was something about how united they were and how harmonious they were together, that literally other churches, even just playing the same music, that same effect happened. And so I will give them that. Like, there's something very ceremonial and very like ritualistic about their songs, and there's just a formula to it, and I don't know what it is, but it's amazing. And I found that most music has that effect, so maybe it's not even, it's really interesting. I'm still exploring a little bit, but
of course, when it's like they clearly were able to tap into something, right? And who knows what that is, but again, it's this thing that is even deeper than what they can comprehend. Like they hit some of it, but there's a whole other thing, and so many other access points to it. So that I think is really cool. Yeah.
I do too.
Yeah.
And I know that before like Katie and I do our weekly things, she'll like DJ for herself for like an hour beforehand. And we all know that she is like, you know, she is a master DJ, but she raises her vibrations literally by like hyping out to some party music. And so I've started doing something similar. And I do that before our events, but now pretty much before any sort of working, I have like a very specific playlist, and it's just music that makes you want to like jump and stomp in circles, you know, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
And so just being exposed to that part of her process is like opened these huge doors for me. And then I'm flooded with memories of how music has affected me, you know, in very similar headspaces. And I'm just like, whoa.
Of course. Of course. Yes. Yeah. Because it's this deeper experience, right? Like you are tapping into that sense memory, which is so much more resonant than just something that doesn't have that same like bodied sensibility to it. You know, I think especially too with ADHD, it's like so much stuff is just here and it's gone. It's just gone. But there are other things that like resonate. And I can call them up years, decades later, like it just happened. So yeah.
It's so true though, with sound and then with smell too. For me,
Yes,
for sure.
Exactly. Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah. There was, oh man, what was it? I think I might have lost my train of thought just a little bit.
That's okay.
Because I was thinking about music still. That's fine. It'll come back. And
It's
if it
fine.
doesn't,
Also fine. See, this is perfect because I was like, okay, this is going to be an awkward transition. And it's not now because now there's a purpose for it. So I noticed that little box over there and I was like, do you have this? Yes, that was what I was hoping for.
My favorite tarot deck. It's so good. It beat my black tarot out of the water. I don't use it.
Really?
I use it every week.
I love it. I love it. My friend Star, who I interviewed, they gave this to me. And they were just like, I don't feel connected to this. I'm like, okay, well, I grow mushrooms. So yes. Like just incredible. And I think too, it's important. It's like certain, again, decks call to you. Again, practice is evolving, or I think it should be evolving. And it shouldn't be seen as like a negative thing if things change. Like sometimes something calls to you, sometimes it doesn't. Don't touch the stuff that isn't calling to you because there's something else. You need to open up that space for this other thing, you know? And so like, I love that this is now your favorite.
Like someone tagged me in it on Twitter and I remember buying it within 5 minutes, like of seeing that. I was like, it was right before Christmas too. I was like, I got excuse it.
I love it.
Have you looked into Chris Adams at all?
No, I haven't.
So he is like a legit mycologist, and then he created a tarot deck. So I'm like, there's more of us. I didn't know that I could be in the mycology world and then also in the like occult world. This is amazing.
Oh my gosh, exactly. I know. Well, this is the hard part too, because I feel like a lot of these things get kind of compartmentalized, and there isn't that like that fun kind of overlap, right? Or it's like my experience has been so much of, you know, people who are interested in mushrooms and the occult, they're interested in the psychedelic side of mushrooms, whereas I'm into the like, okay, these fungi are huge, right? And there are spores, and apparently they can communicate with each other. Like everything I hear about mushrooms is awesome, right? And again, that the magic of life and different types of life and different life forms working together, that to me is a very special kind of magic, and incorporating that into my practice has been interesting, right? Yes.
I got the warm fuzzies.
Oh good, I'm glad. Yeah, so I love that I'm gonna have to look them up, obviously, because I need to know more. Again, there are dozens of us.
There are literally maybe 100. So I would like to go on like my mushroom soapbox for a second, because I have some really cool information regarding the mushrooms communicating. I want to give you like a mushroom book list. Maybe the episode run out real quick, because I have like some very fundamental, if you want to go. So what I found was there's a lot of beginner mycology stuff. There's a lot of beginner identification, but it's either that or then like you have to sign up for like a PhD program in Australia. You know, it's like,
there's no in between.
And so my in between is like not as accessible. Like I got a degree in botany and I ended up like, that's what I wanted to do with my job. And so it worked, but it doesn't work for other people just to be interested. So I'm like, where are the intermediate classes? I found some books that are very intermediate. And I can't wait to show them. Can't remember any of their names. But
totally fine.
they are over there.
That's the whole point
okay,
of having
so
books that you can reference.
I'm referencing my dry erase board right now.
I love it.
So mushrooms communicating with each other. We just found this out. This was like breaking news.
Yeah.
So we knew that they can communicate with each other. What we didn't know is that they had a recognizable vocabulary of at least 50 words.
Yes.
So then let's take it a step back. Before we knew that, we did know that the mycelial networks are really what runs the forest. They are connected to every tree, every plant, every shrub, and they connect in a way that's very visually representative of the World Wide Web. And so what's really cool is that's literally beneath your feet right now. And it's firing off to trees, to shrubs saying, hey, do you have the nutrients that you need? Hey, do you need this? Now that's the saprotrophic. We have the destructive variety or the parasitic varieties,
Yes.
and they have those same modes of communication, but they have different intentions. And so, but both of those are their nature. So it's neither good or evil. And so they are using these different forms of communication to get what they want, whether that's like a good community or whether they want to feed off of everybody and be like mushroom vampires. But what I love especially is that they recognize footsteps. So when there's a footstep in the woods, they send signals and say, I felt something over here, watch out. And then when a tree gets cut down or dies, mass signals, hello, emergency, life force is like been cut off, like boop, you know, it's all recorded and it's incredible. But there's not enough mycologists in the world or enough programs to really like find out much more than that right now.
Yes.
And so I'm excited to see where that goes. And finding out the vocabulary thing makes me hopeful, because that there's a team out there that's exploring that, and that's great. But that probably was found out about 5 years ago and just caught up. So my head, I'm like super excited because I'm like, I'm doing my own experiments. I have my own tissue samples. Like I have my own things that I'm figuring out. Like I'm trying to measure each species that I have in my yard and just how big their mycelial networks are. And one I found is over 30 feet long by 20 feet wide, just because of all the fruitings in the yard. And so I'm just like,
yes.
But you know, they're doing actual like groundbreaking things, but we don't even get to hear about it until like 5 years from now, if someone decides they want to pick it up at the right time. It's crazy.
You bring up a good point. And one of the issues that I have with like academia in general, which is that so much of these things just stay in institutions. They just stay in academic journals. And like you said, unless somebody thinks it's cool and picks it up, we don't hear about it. And like, first of all, who has access to the academic journals where these things are being published, right? Because those are exorbitant amounts of money, and they don't compensate anybody for their writing and submissions for that. And then they charge libraries obscene amounts of money to carry them. And so where's the accessibility with any of this? Like, thankfully, there are a ton of scholars in various fields who are like, I want my scholarship out in the world. And so they will just upload their articles online, which I love. Yes, exactly. Because again, I think if you get into academia, if you get into the university and you want to teach, especially, don't you want to teach everyone? Don't you want as many people to have access to, especially if you think something's really fucking cool, don't you want everybody to know? Maybe that's just my ADHD brain that just wants to share information. And my friend Melissa said this, that it's basically like like when you're interested in something and you start telling people about your interest, it's like show and tell, but with facts. Like blew my mind. It was like, yes, brilliant. And that's exactly how it is. Yeah. So that it's like, how can we again have more access to this information? Because it's really cool. And like you said, there's probably even more stuff going on right now that we don't know about. But because we don't have the journal access or whatever, we don't know the particular scholars or are connected to the departments.
Yeah.
That's why I love when they're like, fucking, I'm just gonna write a book. And you're like, thanks so much.
Exactly.
So exactly. Like, in the last 2 or 3 years, it's been exciting to see people go from like, oh, like mushroom hobbyists to, oh, they're growing now, to, oh, now they're hosting classes and they're writing books on how to grow cordyceps. It's like,
it's so exciting to see that happen, because it really seems like the only way that you can penetrate that mycology bubble is to go commercial, and to go like you're either growing or you're doing some sort of education process, or you're like Paul Stamets and you do like supplements or something. That's really it right now.
That's it. Exactly.
That's it. And if you want to do academia, I mean, you have to move international first. Like there is
right.
So there's no really domestic programs. There are like individual classes. I took one when I was going to Oregon State, and it was like, okay, great.
Yeah.
But my botany degree, the only other thing that I can really do right now in the West Coast, at least, I'll have to double check. Again, but I can only do like what is it, like medicinal or like I can't microbiology in like a medical field, or like soil sample person who has to know all the different like fungi for that purpose to help farms be more profitable and like destroy the soil. So it's like I don't want to do either one of those things.
Yeah, right.
So,
right.
What do you do?
Honestly,
Yeah.
oh my God.
And I have like a friend who's like literally moved to the UK just so that they can get a PhD in it. And I'm like, good for you. That's fantastic. But like, that's not accessible at all.
That's exactly. And that's the shame. And again, I'm hoping because it does feel like between the pandemic and like between all the people who are doing that, like, biodata sonification stuff with like plants and mushrooms, that like there's been right. And like mushroom grow kits, I feel like there are more companies that are selling those. I mean, that's how I started. I got a giant like block and started growing shiitake mushrooms. I was like, this is the greatest thing ever. And this is the coolest thing to watch, like, and to like see the process and then learn all about that. And then easier. Exactly. Oh my God. And then when you realize that you buy shiitake spores and then like inoculate your own grain, I was like, I'm gonna have all the mushrooms.
And then you make your own inoculate. It just snowballs. It just snowballs.
Oh my God, it just blew my mind.
You get your own grain and you make your own inoculates with your own tissue samples that you've developed. It's really fun. It's a slippery slope, friend. It's expensive.
Of course it is. Of course it is. I know.
Listen, we're paranormal people. We get expensive hobbies.
You can't help it, right? Because the cool things are like not that many people are into it, so that you don't have the benefit of like millions of people buying something so that it's cheaper. So you got to just pay more money to be into cool stuff. It's fine. It's fine.
It's all right, I guess. I have a friend who has one of those coffee music boxes. Have you seen those that are motion?
Oh.
Okay. So we were at the Walker Ames house and she like whips it out. We're like, what is that? So it's a little coffin shaped motion activated music box, and it plays like this really creepy like ding 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 ding, like ugh. And so instead of hearing like the beep of a REM pod, you hear the ding ding ding. And talk about music adding a vibe. It was double scary because no one was walking near it. It was going on. And then it was like the creepiest music you ever hear. And you're an addict. It's the best.
Oh my God.
You know how much it is? It's like $450. I've seen it as $600. I'm like, never getting that.
Yeah, no,
and I'm
thanks.
like weighing whether or not I should get $10 worth of like light up cat toys for the same purpose, right?
Right, exactly. Okay, exactly. Right away, I'm like, could I make my own? Could I learn to program electronics? Yeah, Jason.
He's working really hard over in our Discord. I think everyone's just like, what about this and this? And he's just like, here's what this plan looks like, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. It's incredible. I know.
I love it so much.
I do too. Because it's something that I've always been interested in, but have been intimidated by, because I know, again, I think it's that ADHD thing too, where you think about all the things you could potentially do with it and then just shut down. It's like, cool, I'm just going to play video games for an hour because my brain cannot think right now. And unfortunately, Jason is very well read. And so he'll like send me things. He's like, well, this is just a really simple thing to get you started. And it's only $30. I'm like, man, fuck off. Maybe I'll just be irritated for a
Get out
while.
of here.
Exactly. Stop giving me easy answers to these problems.
I'm gonna overcomplicate anything that's nuts and bolts. I'm just gonna do that right now.
Thank you. Exactly.
My office chair is not quite right. It was the easiest thing I've ever done. My little hits are out.
Of course.
I love that I came here to talk about my my paranormal endeavors here.
Yeah, I know.
I'm part of this group and we like do stuff and I'm supposed to promote them, but here
Whatever.
no, this is just a conversation.
It's just a conversation. Exactly. Yeah. I'll promote the hell out of you. I like all of you. So anything I can do, obviously I will.
You were so sweet the other night on WUFO to be able to read Wooforacle for Ranger. Oh my gosh. It totally helped. It helped a lot. So we're so appreciative of that. That was amazing.
Good. I'm so glad. Good.
And you saw he's just ate up.
Yeah.
So anything helps to keep that going.
Exactly.
He's so sweet. But no, oh my gosh, we have the best community. And Andrew likes to remind me how niche we are. I'm like trying to sell merch and do these different things. And he's like, we have to figure something out because this is very niche. I don't think anyone's gonna get pile of oranges on a sweatshirt. I don't know how to market this. I'm like, I don't know either. But our community is so powerful and so positive. Like we've really cut out this little corner in it. Oh, I'm so happy. It's amazing.
It's so amazing to be around, again, such positive, playful, kind, generous, just and excited about things and excited to try new things and very welcoming. It's just such a nice, sweet group of people. And it makes me so happy because I'm like, God, where have you people been my entire life? This is why I was just practicing and doing my own weird thing in a corner. Cause I'm just I think I inherited this from my mother where I'm just I hate people. It's no, I just met a whole bunch of bad ones. Turns out there are all these amazing people out there. And it's great to be able to just share weird stories with and oh, let's try this. Let's hook up this. Let's make these glasses. Oh, okay, cool. Tell me all your neat tricks. I want to know everything.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh man, it's the best. It's the absolute best. Did you see that Garrett used those glasses at the time traveler's mailbox? He used them on the street on a TikTok live. And I'm trying to dig through it so I could post it in the Patreon. This dude, it's so funny too to see how he's grown. Because 6 months ago he'd have been what? But now it's we do the Estes method every week. We get some really weird experiments. And so he just puts those glasses on in the street. And it's okay, these are really weird.
Of course.
These are definitely working, but I'm on the street. He was very conscious of that. He was on the street. We're okay. Thank you. That was amazing.
For real. Oh my God.
The options with that. And that's something that one of our friends sent us and made themselves. That's amazing.
Exactly. Well, that's what I love too. This idea of okay, what can we learn and share with each other? And that to me is very important and especially too, what I love is people who are learning and sharing from each other and also acknowledging this person did this and this person did this and this person said this and worked in collaboration. That to me is very important because that's the basis of community, that everybody honors the contributions of everyone else and they're all still working together to build new things. Because much like music, you can accomplish so much more when you are working with other people than you can just isolated in your own brain doing whatever. It's been so cool to see all these different ideas and these things bubbling up. I love it. I love it. More excitement, more experimentation, more play. We all benefit from that.
We all benefit from it, and there's plenty of room. That's
it too. Exactly. There's plenty of room. And everybody can have a space here. Just like
Mhm.
figure out what your space is. Sure, have fun.
Yep.
Come sit down with us. Come play. And when you figure out what your space is, just let us know. Like
Yeah.
that's the thing too, that I feel like I said, there's so many open, like wonderful people in this community. So it's really cool to just be like watching these things evolve again, and people like gaining new skills and doing cool new things.
I think so too. It's the best. There's
Yeah.
I especially love it when someone is like, oh, I found the map and I went to this spot and then this really weird thing happened. So now I'm gonna start researching this. And they like, you see this snowball effect happen, and it's almost like an initiation. Everything's an initiation these days.
Yeah.
But
Yes, I know.
but it's like you watch someone start to interact with something, and in the moment when you are doing it, you get swept up in it and you don't really notice this is the start of something huge. And so to be able to watch other people go through that is the most exciting thing ever. I love it so much. I'm just like, come here.
Yes, exactly. Again, there are dozens of us. Come play with us. Well,
You
I
think
love
that's cool? Let me send you a link. You know?
that.
Yeah.
That's what's so cool. It's when you see people start to open up to new connections and new possibilities and new information and moving things together. Like it's so beautiful.
I agree. I gotta charge my phone.
Oh, sure. I was like, are we going on the tour?
So this is my crib. This is the fruity pie that I still need to put outside.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love it so much. And yeah, I am really getting into the idea of doing like 20 to 30 minute like mini shorts on YouTube, like of docs about the different map submissions.
Oh, yes.
In way of like, we want it to be done very DIY, very like just with phones and just with like sound stuff you can get on Amazon, like nothing crazy, but be still produce like a high quality product.
Of course.
And like very easy to consume. So you can watch them, but you get to learn about all these really weird map submissions. And I, as much as I love it, I'm a very visual person. And so I'm like, I can read about this and this is great, but I want to see it. I want to see all of it.
Yes.
And so that's kind of where my head's been lately. I'm just thinking about like, I've like been teaching myself Premiere Pro, and
cool.
I have a background of 8 years of commercial photography, and they kind of just stopped to pursue botany. So it's like I'm getting back in and I'm like wetting my toes again, and it's been really cool. And I'm just flowing with ideas right now, and I can't share any of them yet.
Of course.
I'm working, and all of these really cool map submissions are going to kind of get their own little spotlight, hopefully, eventually. And then any weird thing our friends are doing, I want to be able to like document it and produce something just as cool and of quality. But like, so hopefully we'll be seeing that soon. It's just like I need like 10 more hours in a day. I never get it done.
That's the whole ADHD thing too, where you have a million ideas, like it's non-stop idea factory. Everything sparks an idea, everything sparks a connection. Like I just went down this weird rabbit hole recently where I was like I'd seen this toy in like a the thrift store next door, and for years I was wondering what it was, and then I finally I just suddenly thought of it again. I dug for it, and then I found the name of it, and then found how it was connected to this magician who was apparently super popular in the 70s and into transcendental meditation. And I'm like, I think I need, yeah, right? Like, I know. So you just again, these things zig and zag based off of like a toy I saw in a thrift store, 6 years ago? Like, you can find these amazing threads and connections, but again, it's like idea. And I always need a good research project. So I'm like, what is this thing that I saw? Let me see if I can find it. I know nothing about it except it's from the 80s, and I can only assume that based off of the packaging. So
I love it. It's so good. It's so good because those things make life so magical, and it kind of takes your attention away. And I don't know why, but we at some point in our lives kind of unlearned that. And
Yeah.
relearning that, I love like getting made fun of on Twitter for it because it like really shows how like much of a bummer some people are. But it's like even just being excited to like, oh, I'm gonna go like to the beach at night looking because it's haunted or whatever. But in the process of that, I find this new rock, and then I find out, oh, there's agate here. What? And so it's like now half of my summer is gonna be dedicated. Like there are these tiny little things that are from like one side choice, and then it has this super like amazing impact on your life, and it makes it more magical, and it can be just as mundane as like picking up a new rock and like being excited about it. And it may seem silly on the outside, but it's like life-changing shit, man.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like I talk every episode about the importance of play, but I like fundamentally, philosophically, I think play is essential to a good human life, to good life in general, but especially a good human life. Like, how do you, and that play comes from, hey, I found this cool rock, right? Like, hey, I found this feather on the ground. Like, hey, here's this neat thing. And this ended up leading to this, to this, to this. That inspiration is a playful inspiration. And you follow those cool little journeys and like, okay, it might not lead somewhere productive or whatever, but you have gained something and gained knowledge. And this thing has kind of unfolded before you. It's getting lost, I think, in the wonder of like the magic of life, right? There is to me, a beautiful magic in what the mundane things in life, if you can just follow these connections, because there is that sense of, oh, I think there's something else going on here. And I love that. I don't need to know what it is. I just need to experience it happening. And then I get a little juiced for the day. I'm like, all right, I can take on anything right now. I caught a glimpse of the thing behind the curtain. I'm
yes.
Cool. Yeah.
That's it. I mean, I always try to advocate that over anything else. Really, that's like what it comes down to for me. It's like if I can advocate like one thing, it's these simple things that you can do can completely change like your perspective on the world. It can completely change like how you exit this experience. So that's like all the rage for me.
Of course.
Everything's an extension of that, really.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I think that's beautiful.
Thank you.
But before I let you go, tell us all about Liminal Earth.
Liminal Earth. Oh man. So what's funny about Liminal Earth is I was introduced to it after I became like Bex and the Liminal on Instagram. Wasn't familiar with anybody from the community except like the TV paranormal stars I grew up watching, and then like Greg and Zana, and then Tenny. Those are the only people that I knew. And so I didn't have any context for like this map of this strange stuff. And then Amanda Paulson sent me the link and was like, I think that like you would really connect with some of these places on this map. And I was like, okay. Or I might have even been complaining about like, there's like nothing haunted around here. Oh. And I was like, shut up.
Yeah, exactly.
Yo, this is going to be life-changing. Yeah. So thanks for that, number one. But yeah, I was introduced to this map. So I think our first meeting together was last June. And we did an investigation within like an hour of meeting each other. And it was like a situation where like someone was shooting something for something in this very locally notorious rural sanatorium of sorts. It's Starvation Heights in Olalla, Washington.
Oh, okay.
And it was being torn down. And so we were actually the last people that got to investigate it. And we were down in the basement. And just the way that we investigated together really flowed. And Jeremy had the Oracle deck. I had no idea what it was yet at the time. And I had my tarot decks. And Garrett, we all were like doing different things. And we came to like the conclusion with the owner that like the house was ready to be torn down, and it experienced a lot of trauma, a lot of abuse. There's a lot of vandalism. There was 2 evidences of small fires occurring within the facility. Like there was a lot of bullying and beating up that this house had been put up with, not to mention like the monster who built it. And it was like, the questions that we were asking and the cards that we were receiving, it was very much so like, this is the end. I'm very excited. Please move forward. And the owners were like, we were, you know, wondering if this was the right thing to do. So it was really cool to provide that with like these guys that I barely knew.
Yes.
It was so instant after that. And we started doing things together and eventually got invited, you know, to join the team and kind of, drive that forward. We had like all these shared goals that we wanted to do individually. So we're like, why don't we just do them together under Liminal Earth?
Absolutely. Yes.
But before then, I was experiencing really strange activity here in my neighborhood, and I asking around and started collecting stories. And then I started posting like the bulletin board flyers and like the pick your number thing. I did all of it. And I had all these stories I didn't know what to do with.
Oh my God, amazing. Yes.
Run this map of this, like, it's all crowdsourced, it's all worldwide, and it's super accessible, free, easy to do. And so I'm just like, I don't know what I can do, but I want to help somehow. And it just worked out. And I remember I had Jim Perry over at my house for something, and we were hanging, and he was like, so what do you like see yourself doing? You know, you're like, at the time I was still a horticulturist for a company, and I wanted to pursue the paranormal, and I wasn't really sure how. And I remember telling him, I want to find some sort of intersection or crossroads between like horticulture and botany and the paranormal. And so flash forward a year later, what are we doing with Liminal Earth, like liminal ecology and liminal spirit oracle? And like, that's all a conversation. And the meeting.
Oh my God. Amazing. Yes.
But Liminal Earth is a is a map where people can submit their own experiences, and it doesn't have to be like, oh, I saw like my grandma's ghost. It can be, I had a weird dream once that seemed significant, or I saw a dog wearing human shoes. I swear, I don't know how to tell. Anything in between. Some of our favorite stories are time slips and disappearing places.
Yes.
Just like they get me chills. I would not know how to respond in that situation. As weird and evangelical as my family were, we had a lot of paranormal experiences growing up, and they saged the hell out of our house still, so they know how to handle things. And I take things from my practice from my childhood that was evangelical as hell.
Interesting. Yes.
Yeah. So now I do Liminal Earth stuff, and we month and do some things, some filming. Our next adventure is taking us to the mysterious pile of oranges in Renton, actually, the Black Riparian Forest, because there's also like a screaming well there, and there's also a very polluted river that we need to maybe have a conversation with. And so there's like these overtones of like, maybe Liminal Earth needs to help clean up the local waterways, and we keep getting those messages. But then also we need to check out this one forest because it's been a hotbed of like oranges that are peeled and showing up, a well that you can hear screaming coming out. It's amazing. And so once a month we're trying to hit up these little hotbeds, film some stuff. Then in my free time, I take on residential cases sometimes. I'm currently working on one where this poor person's having their art destroyed by something. Their roommates are gone and like don't have keys anymore. Like they have zero explanation for it now. And yeah, it's just, but they're very curious. They're researching a lot. They have some theories, and they're very like magic adjacent. So it's like my dream person to work with. Yeah, not enough time in the day. We're doing so much. We want to do so much more, and eventually get every single one of you involved.
Perfect. Good. Everyone at Liminal Earth is so earnest and so it's so clear that like your love for what you're doing comes through. There's no guile there. There's clearly no like clout chasing there or anything like that. You're just doing what your hearts are telling you to do. And I think that love and that playfulness just infuses everything. It's so, I don't know, I see it, and I love it, and I respond to it because it's just so joyful and wonderful. So yeah, so keep it up.
Thanks, Vanessa. I have like one more like itty bitty thing I wanted to tell you, because I have a feeling we'll be seeing more of you around for WUFO. And so I wanted to kind of tell you and your viewers like this one kind of path of phenomenon that I've been experiencing since I started doing my contact sessions every week. It's been very interesting.
Yeah.
So I've been experiencing like a lot of light phenomenon and a lot of like technological fritzes lately.
Really?
Started during the first WUFO Estes method on TikTok. My ring light started changing colors and then it kept turning off. Now isolated, whatever, it's fine. So I was a little freaked out because I was under, and my reaction wasn't, oh, I feel a light turning off. It was, I felt somebody walk in front of the light and block it. I felt the pressure, and that's why I took my thing off so suddenly. I was very startled. And so the guys were like, hey, maybe let's ground for a second, maybe the light. It felt weird. And then my partner and I woke up. Hi, baby. Let me tell the story. Now I'm done. Okay. And then we'll go have cuts. We wake up at 3 a.m. and there's a laptop on the couch that we had used, and it was closed, but it was playing something like very loud. And then the ring light that I had used to shoot like a kitchen roller skating video was in there, and it was having like changing colors at the same time. And so we unplugged everything. A couple weeks later, I am doing my monthly report on Jim's show, Night Drift. And his mic cord goes out. And he's like, I needed to change my mic cord. Then a couple weeks later for WUFO, we have a reporter following us around. And we take him to this bar where this like alien encounter happened. And I start talking about my experiences. The lights dim. The light above the pool table starts freaking out. And then the lights go back up and forth. And like, no one's really reacting other than us. And then it stops when I start talking about it. Stop talking about it. And we even talked to the owners, and they had just replaced bulbs. Hi, I'm sorry, honey. This is very important. Yeah. And so then like last week I was on Chaos and Shadows seance with the guys, and his microphone thing started going out too. So they started talking about it. And I was like, okay. So I've been like doing a lot of research about that lately. It's been like really blowing my mind a little bit. Like, how can I affect something just by talking about this? And it happened the first time we tried to do like a WUFO related contact session. Yeah. So apologies in advance if any of your like microphone cords come out. I really am not trying to like leak my shit on you. I just don't know where it's coming from or how to alter it anyway, except to talk about it, I guess.
Of course, exactly. Yes. I feel like, again, I think all of us experience the phenomena in different ways. I wouldn't be surprised. Like for me, it's dreams. It's always been dreams. And so if my dreams start getting really weird, I'll let you know.
Latest, we have to have an electrician come back to our house because last week, one of our breakers blew, and the lights for the master bath, master closet, laundry room, outdoor light, and range light. So we just don't have lights all those areas. And then the electrician thought he fixed it. He left. It blew again. And he says, okay, I actually have no idea what this is. I've never seen this. So he has to go bring the guy who owns his company in sometime. So it's been over a week and we have no idea. And it's not the breaker that my light's on. My light's working right now. The kitchen light that I do is fine. So all the breakers that have experienced this phenomenon are still working. So weird.
That is bizarre.
Is that I've interviewed multiple witnesses of UFO activity or straight up like may think they've been abducted on the peninsula. And their like radios will short out in their car, their smartphones will start acting up or playing something, and then they'll have light issues. And then afterwards they start having abduction dreams on the regular. And so I'm like, this is kind of fitting up with that a little bit. Like I'm not stating any sort of theories that I believe that is happening to me. I do not. But I'm seeing parallels between what people have been reporting and now what is happening to me as far as light and tech phenomena going. So what happened on week 1?
I love it. You're tapping into something. I
don't think I'll ever definitively speak, but I have so many theories.
Of course, exactly. I love this. Thank you for sharing that.
I'll keep you updated if anything else. I'll just be like, it happened again.
Yeah, of
But
course.
it's fun. I'm like literally like late night Googling, can people manipulate light with their braids? Things like that. I've gotten too far.
Yeah, of course. Obviously. Come on. Exactly. Yeah, we're still collecting data, right? And that's important. We'll have the data.
Oh, data.
Thank you so much for listening and or watching, depending on where you found this podcast. You can find Bex online at Bex in the Liminal on Twitter. You can also find Liminal Earth at liminal.earth. I also encourage you to participate in WUFO. You can go to wufo.watch. They have activities. If you are listening to this the night it's released, you will have cool things to do if you visit that website. And yeah, this was just such a fun, playful episode, and I hope that you also have a playful and curious day.